The problem that I have with capitalism, and when I was on Love is Blind, this line was one of this and that I make my own toothpaste were the big takeaways from me as a person, which is two important things about me. But I was talking to someone about capitalism and I mentioned that. And so naturally people want to know. So I don't feel like we are moving in the right direction to keep capitalism. And I feel this way because it is this hustle culture. People are burnt out. And over time, people are going to not be able to produce at the levels that they would with a 32-hour work week that was legitimately enforced, right?
Mhm.
And have that time and have that peace and have that family, friends, going out, whatever that is. And so I think that if we keep at this pace, we're not going to have the productivity of workers who are thinking clearly or building products safely, or my dad hooks up the hospital bed the right way. Like if we're going through this just constant working, constantly thinking about work. And so I think capitalism needs to be heavily regulated in the labor space. And I think we're
Mhm.
slowly maybe getting more people on board with that. I would love to see Senator Sanders weaponize all the people that want a 32-hour work week and activate us and make it happen. I think that would be amazing because
Yeah.
I think it could happen very quickly if we did that. I
I
think a
think we'll
lot of
definitely
people
see it
support
in our
this.
near lifetime. I think that we will see it while we are still working.
Do you think we'll see it like soon?
I
Or
hope so.
am
I
I
mean,
talking? Am I going to retire with a
it's the
32-hour
first
work week?
time like workplace reform is these conversations are happening in like a long time, and you
Yeah.
are seeing communities of young people building around it and advocating for their needs like they never have before in the workplace. And you're seeing employers try to respond by doing like layoffs and reminding people like
Who's in
their
charge?
place, what their place is. Um, but and this is I saw a TikTok and I don't know what the creator's name is, but he said for a lot of people, like, and this is a little bit startling, but like death has become an option, right? Like when you make the wage gap so far and two or three jobs is not enough to be able to put food in your mouth and a roof over your head, people are going to start to fight.
Yeah.
Because it literally becomes life or death. And
God, that's so true. That's
yeah,
so true.
and it's I think we are literally fighting for a return to our collective humanity. And with I think, capitalism in theory, it's something that could on paper work, right? But that is not the way our system is operating. I think people have like some rose-colored glasses on, like that we actually live in a capitalist society. I don't believe that we
No.
do. I
There's
think
a
we,
there's a Princeton study that proved we're actually an oligarchy and that
yeah,
there are people at the top that make all the decisions for us, and our views and our thoughts on public policy are not reflected within the government officials that are supposed to reflect. This has already been proven like 10 years ago. We're
yeah.
not in an actual capitalist society.
And think about all the changes that have happened politically just in those 10 years, where, it's easy for social media and the media to pit people in our two-party system against each
Against it.
other
Yeah.
rather than pay attention to what's actually happening.
One of the big reasons I started this podcast is because I feel like I can talk to people on all sides and have
Mm-hmm.
these types of conversations that we're having that aren't
Yeah.
about left, right, liberal, conservative, alt right, alt left, communism, socialism. They're actually about, hey, we're in this together. And
Yeah.
this is what I tell people with my reality TV activist work too, is I'm like, you over there that was on one day of The Bachelor, you are the same as the person over here who was The Bachelor. And
Mm-hmm.
because we're all human beings and they're making a lot of money on us. And unless we want to, jump into the belly of the beast and sell our souls there, like we're not going to get the compensation. We're not going to get the recognition that we deserve for making them billions of dollars of content
Yeah.
that they don't spend. And so that applies everywhere, right? If you are able to have a conversation, and I do this with people all the time, and I just did it the other day with someone. I'm like, if you hate Donald Trump so much and you hate everybody that likes Donald Trump, what if Donald Trump came out, let's just say you and me, Donald Trump came out in full support of the 32-hour work week, and that's what he ran his campaign on? Do you hate him so much that you're sacrificing yourself there? Those are the
Mm-hmm.
conversations we need to have with each other, because I bet you there are just as many quote Trumpers over there and just as many quote Bernie bros on the other side that all want a 32-hour work week with the same pay. So
Yeah.
why don't we talk about that?
Right. Like I said, systems of oppression thrive on dehumanizing other people. And when you think about systems of oppression, like these types of conversations are, anti-racist. They are very political in nature. Any type of workplace reform is political in nature because you can't talk about that without talking about,
Yeah.
slavery and the exploitation of labor and wage theft for all of those groups. And it's easy for people to just say, you know what? It's easier to not. It's easier to not have these hard conversations and to really have to look at myself in the mirror and say, like, I have played a part in the ignorance is bliss. Like, it doesn't affect me. So, like, but it's, going back to values, like, how do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as somebody who fights for people who are marginalized, who tries to do the best that they can for the large majority of people and to not cause harm. And we're seeing, the billionaires and the ultra wealthy buy out politicians who can influence workplace reform and are actively, deliberately choosing not to at this point.
Yeah.
And it'll be really interesting to see how the next decade of work unfolds with younger generations who are no longer going to tolerate for the status quo.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one other thing, how we define work, I think is coming under the microscope. And I think the content creator community and the evolution of the influencer, however you want to look at it, one thing I think it has opened is that, and this isn't everyone, like some people are selling bullshit and they're influencers, like I'm not saying, but I think, and I don't consider myself an influencer, but when I produce mental health content, it's stream of thought. Like, I recorded something about gratitude because one of the things I do when I'm feeling stuck and down and depressed is I try to tell someone I'm grateful for them or check in on someone, right? And I always am like, God, this is just so like my empathy is when I'm feeling bad, I got to reach out and try and help somebody else. It's like it's not a healthy coping mechanism all the time, but gratitude is a healthy coping mechanism.
Yes.
And so the fact that we're in this environment we're in, and we have people that have found ways to make living within capitalism, but outside of the capitalism norm of going to school, getting a career and this and that. And it's opened people's eyes that like, hey, creating content is work. This. If you're putting a reel or a TikTok or writing a long, this is work, right? So we have to redefine so is, by the way, being a stay-at-home parent. So is, by the way, cooking every day. We pay people in restaurants to cook all day. So it's the way that we define work is tied so tightly to generating compensation and ultimately making money for other people that I think we need to redefine what's considered work and incorporate things that we do, like artists. Think about artists, for example, and they're, an extension probably of like a content creator in a sense, but like artists, unless they sell their piece of work, which is very difficult, and unless they're established so where they can, sell something that takes them days, hours, whatever, that isn't defined as productivity, right? And so why can't we have a society where we have artists painting walls and getting paid and building sculptures and doing live poetry reading, like whatever? I didn't expect to say this, so I don't have any thoughts clear. They're coming out in real time. But why can't we just redefine work and separate it from what is considered productivity, which I say is making money for somebody else?
Yeah. I believe that we can redefine it. And I think it starts with us because when all of us do it, then we are collectively taking action together. And I think when we can get away from the idea of individualism in our capitalist society, where it's like your success is contingent on you and you alone, and if you haven't succeeded, then it's a you problem, and maybe it's just because you're not working hard enough, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Which, by the way, that's cult mentality. I've had cult experts on my show. I've had cult survivors on my show. That's what happens in a cult. It's always on you. I just had Roberta. I'm blanking on her last name. She has a podcast, Life After MLM, and she was wrapped up in LuLaRoe. And this is exactly how she described it. If you weren't successful in that that MLM, it was your fault. You weren't working hard enough. You got
Yeah.
stuck with all this product that we had you buy. It's on you because you're not good at selling it. So that's a cult mentality, but the rugged individualism is so true.
It's toxic. And I think that when we redefine work, we're going to be returning to a lot of our humanness. And part of our humanness, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs in psychology, is belonging and community care. And our system has like thrived off of isolating people, where we get that false sense of belonging from social media and from bonding over things that aren't like really intimate and like share our human emotions. So I think the more that we can show up, be ourselves, express the things that cause us pain, and be safe to share with people in our lives, that's when we start to influence change from the inside out, rather than thinking like all of this is outside of my control.
And that is the mission of this show. So you can show up in the world with your eyes wide open. So I might clip that and add it to the trailer. So